Well, it's a Sunday before St. Patrick's Day. It's raining and it's crappy out. So what do? Start planning your trip to Sturgis. So this video is about how I go out to Sturgis from central Pennsylvania. Just for reference, to give you an idea of where I'm at, I'm located in the middle of basically Johnstown, Altoona, and State College. So a little town called Patton. We are roughly 1,600 miles from Sturgis proper itself. I've been out there now. It's been my 9th trip out. This is just how I go about getting from here to there, and of course back in. You retrace the route backwards. On the roads a little bit less traveled. I'm not a big fan of taking the big interstates. I definitely don't want to go through Chicago again. That is never fun. For those of you that have left generally in Pennsylvania and went to Chicago to get out there, yes, it's shorter, but yes, you have tolls, tons of truck traffic. It's never been my favorite thing to do. That's sort of the northern route from here. I know there's further north you can go up into, say, Michigan and go across that way, but I've not done that, so I won't speak to it. But as far as the two routes everyone particularly takes from my area, it is normally either through Chicago, so you cross I-80, pick up 90, and just run across that way, or you typically drop down 70, go through Columbus, Ohio, run that out, pick up 74 to 80. That's the two routes that pretty much everybody seems to take. I've changed that a little bit because Columbus has built up enough now. The traffic getting through there is also a pain in the butt. Not a lot of fun. Usually some kind of delay in construction. That's usually not my favorite route to go. But what really got bad was Indianapolis. That has been a bear to get through the last few times I've done it. And for reference, I pull a trailer with my motorcycle. So I have one of those Luma XLs I pull behind. The last two trips out, we've used it. I've always pulled a trailer up until this year. I've decided to quit doing it. I'm going to sell it. But the nice thing about the route that I'm planning, even if you are planning to trailer your bike out, now I'm the opposite. I usually put a trailer behind the bike. That's a whole other video on why I did that and why I'm not anymore. That's something else I'll make and post up. But for reference, this route would work whether you're pulling a toy hauler, a small box trailer, loading a pickup, or you're riding a bike out. The route's the same. I think it would be just fine for a toy hauler as well. There's enough Love's Travel Centers, different things like that to stop at. So if you have a problem, you can get a repair done. You're still on interstates. For the most part, there are some 2-lane roads, which I would rather do, but I don't quite have enough time to do that. Even though I'm slowing down my trip this year and taking a little extra time, I'm expanding this from the typical 2.5 days to right around 4. Reason for that is I have another friend of mine going. It's his first really long cross-country trip. He has just bought a trike. His girlfriend has never done this length of a trip. And frankly, I have enough vacation time to do it. So I'm slowing down a little bit, kind of stop and smell the roses, so to speak, there on the way out. I found some pretty cool towns from having done this a few times that I do like to visit. Have good food, places just kind of chill out and relax. You're not killing yourself on the trip. It's supposed to be vacation, be fun. Building the extra day in also allows for if we run into crappy weather, which I'm the king of. I've had everything from severe hail to literally dodging a tornado just outside of Cody, Wyoming. I have some pictures of that to prove that happened with a friend of mine. It was pretty damn interesting. I will, if that never happens again, it'd be too soon. It wasn't very much fun at all, let me tell you. So this is just how I go from here, and I'll do 2 alternate routes. One if you're further north than I am, because I'm further south. I've used both routes. It is a little bit of I-80, and then we jump off it pretty quickly just to get out of the state of Pennsylvania. Or in this case, I'm taking 422. But let's get into a map on the laptop here. I'll show you exactly the route I'm taking. I'll do some voiceover to explain why I'm going that route, and basically just an outline of what I'm doing. Again, this isn't like set in stone or anything. This is informational for you folks that haven't done it yet, that are coming from this area. And then once you get out of Pennsylvania, it's all pretty much the same for anybody coming from the Midwest. If you want to try something a little bit different, alternate to what you normally do. Hopefully you'll find this helpful, informational, and well, let's get into it on the laptop. All right, let's get started with this. Obviously, I use Google Maps for my planning, pretty much like everybody else in the world, I think, does. I would like to use Rever. Honestly, I think it would be cool to use that app. The problem with it is I'm an Android Auto user, so I don't have access to the Rover app on Android Auto. Works perfectly fine with Apple, but again, I'm an Android guy, so I don't have that option. It doesn't come up on the screen on the bike when I want it. I for reference here, I do not have the stock Harley radio in. I have a SoundStream Reserve. It works pretty well. I like it. No built-in GPS, so I do rely on my phone for the traveling. Also, I have the same map. My wife will have access to it on her phone just in case we have an issue. But I will also take an atlas with me so I can navigate the old school way and just like go west, young man, and hope it works out. So, but what we do is I will plan my routes with this and my stays, where I'm trying to stay at and what town and everything like that. So, without further ado, let's get into this whole trip and show you what day one looks like for me coming out of Pennsylvania. So you can see in the whole route here, I'll zoom this in a little bit. Hopefully, we lost the end, as I thought would happen. I'll zoom back out. So I do start here at my home in Patton. And I run out to Wabash, Indiana. It's about 422 miles going this way. I'm basically taking 422 out until basically Canton. It kind of splits over by Newcastle here. We'll zoom in. I'll show you how that looks for those of you that are coming from this area, just to get an idea of what this looks like. So I'll zoom this over so we can get to the map itself. So the first part of this, for those of you that are in my area in general, this is all this coming out through here into Penn Run. This is all divided 2-lane. Once you get to Penn Run, you hit 422, which is actually 4-lane, until basically almost into Newcastle, Butler area. It divides out. It can split between 2 and 4-lane. It's not a bad road to travel. It looks this will be a lot better going this way than I did last time, how I did it. Right around Butler last time was during the presidential elections last year. It was right after the incident out there with the attempted assassination, so police presence was really, really heavy. Made it a bit of a pain because they were still doing some investigation. Also, there was a lot of road work. So our friend Google Maps did what it always does, which is, hey, go 500 foot this way, turn left. Go 500 foot, turn right to get us around it. Fortunately, I didn't way around out there, just ignored it. But still, there was a lot of delay, which played into how we came back, which would be the other route I'll show you if you guys are further north. One part that looks a little crazy is this piece by Newcastle. Don't freak out about it, folks. If you're going up through here, it basically all that is. Let's zoom this in one more time so you can really see it. All this is 422 looping. As you can see now, one more, make it a little bit clearer for everyone. You can see all it's doing here is looping around to drop you down on 376. You could, if you wanted to in this route, you could go through Pittsburgh. I don't recommend it because, again, as I said in the preview to this, I try to avoid big cities as much as possible. It seems like you'd be able to run across this, but at this point, I'll just stick with Google Maps. It's probably not that much further to do it. So we'll just kind of go out that way and continue running out 422. The nice thing about 422, there are quite a few fuel stops right on Newcastle. By Newcastle, Altman, all this through here, there are fuel stops all over the place. So you're not going to have to worry about getting gas. And honestly, I'll make the Ohio border pretty easily on one tank of that bike anyway. So I'm not concerned about getting gas until I get out into Ohio. But then, as you can see, what I also avoid, there's a reason for this. I'll zoom out so I'm not scrolling quite so much, driving you guys nuts. I try to avoid Akron. Now, the reason I avoid Akron is, quite frankly, it's a little bit trafficky, but that's some of the worst roads I've ever been on in my life. I'll touch on what we had to fix with the trailer when we finally did get back into Wabash, but we actually broke the damn trailer in Akron. Yeah, it sheared the pin off that holds the latch in the back of it, so we had to make a quick stop at a Walmart, buy some more ratchet straps to be able to close the trailer to finish the trip. So, yeah, the roads aren't good up that way. It was pretty damn interesting whenever you go to a gas station and the guy's like, "Oh, where'd you come through?" And I said, "Akron." He said, "Well, I'm sorry about that. I live there. I'm sorry about our roads. I wish we'd fix them. They're pretty rough, so I would attempt to avoid that." I will say that 62 and 30 down through Canton was not bad at all. Let me zoom in here. 30 is a pretty nice road to travel, actually. I'm going to zoom in so you can see what we're dealing with here. This is basically Lincoln Highway east and or west. As you can see, it's actually a divided road. So it's a divided 4-lane, very low traffic, pretty damn nice shape. It's a nice run out through there. You're not hauling ass, which is, I mean, some folks like to do that. I'm not one of those guys. I like to keep it around 70, 75. That's where I'm comfortable. It's just personal preference. I don't like to haul it that hard. I've been there, done that. I'm not a young man anymore, so I don't do it anymore. I just take my time a little bit more. Again, like I said, we go 4 days on the trip. Let me zoom this out so we can just quit boring you with looking at blue lines here. So there's a reason why I picked Wabash. We have stayed in Van Wert before. And again, this is just me personally. You guys can go further if you want, or less for less, distance, however you want to do it. Van Wert, when we stayed there, wasn't as much to do as there was in Wabash. Not that it was a bad town. I'm not saying that. It wasn't bad at all. We stayed in the wrong side of it, honestly. Wasn't much there. So we really had one Mexican restaurant that was close to us, which is fine, tequila. I mean, we're good with that. But food was good. People were nice. Just wasn't much going on. Wasn't super thrilled with the hotel we stayed at. And I'm not going to hammer anybody. I'm not in the business of giving bad reviews for hotels, but it just wasn't what we thought it would be. So then we went and stayed in Wabash this time. And Wabash has quite a bit more to offer. And we'll just switch over here and show it restaurants. So if you follow this channel at all, if we build some folks up here, you'll figure out pretty quick that we're foodies. And as you can see, there are quite a few places to eat in Wabash. So one of the deciding factors on where I stay, not only the hotel, but what restaurants are available. Now, I'm not a big chain restaurant guy. For instance, I'm not really big on doing that. I like to find the local stuff. So as you can see, there are quite a few local places here that are, they're mom and pa type things that are there. There are some, obviously, if you look, there are going to be places there like your Taco Bells and that kind of stuff are there. But I sort this out by American eateries, and I actually went off Wabash's site itself to get this. That's a helpful tip if you're looking to stay someplace. Usually their Chamber of Commerce will have something. This was real easy. I just typed in Wabash, Indiana restaurants, and everything came up. So you can see there's a Bob Evans, Wings Inc., but then there's all these local ones here that you can see that is probably where we're going to eat at. So that's kind of how we do that. That's just one of my things I picked up to do. Over all the years, I like to eat good food. I'm not a big fan of fast food. It doesn't like me. I don't like it, so we're even. Let's say I won't have an occasional Whopper or something, but usually doesn't agree with me very well. The other thing with this is there are quite a few gas stations here. There's also a Harley dealer in Wabash. There's a Tractor Supply. So if you do have an issue with something, you'll be able to get parts to get you back on the road. Like I said, I pull a trailer with the bike. It's always nice to know I have some place where, especially Tractor Supply, if I were to, say, lose a tire on that trailer, I can replace it. Again, going back to the restaurants, one of the reasons I don't want to pull a trailer is it makes it hard to go to some of these restaurants. Some of these are street side parking. If anybody's pulled a trailer with a bike, you know what I'm talking about. It's a little bit of a hassle to back them in and out of parking places. You can do it. It's nowhere near as easy as what it is, say, in a pickup, or for those of you that like what I used to do, driving a big truck, it's a little different backing a bike up with a trailer behind it. It can get a little bit disorienting pretty quickly, just because of you lose your mirrors. So when you turn, it's just, anyway, I digress. But that's one of the reasons I don't want to pull one anymore. It just makes it easier to go to some of these places. Or you can Uber. If you want to have a few libations, like maybe a Smitty's Bar and Grill, which is one we looked at. So if you want to get something like that and have a couple drinks, you're better off taking an Uber instead of messing around with your bike. And then you don't have to worry about maybe dropping the trailer, that kind of stuff. So that's one of the reasons I'm not pulling it anymore. And plus, I don't camp. That's just not my thing anymore. I don't. Last trip to Sturgis, we camped, and I didn't enjoy it. So that's kind of why we took the trailer, so we could pull that stuff. One of the things I recommend doing, I want to show two of these sites here, is on your way out before you leave. Everyone from PA should probably be familiar with PA 511. Basically, you can come out here and say, hey, what's going on the roads? Now, this is live real as of this recording. So this is an incident that's out in that area. So you can see that kind of stuff before you leave and look for road closures. Indiana also has the same thing. Ohio has something similar to this. Most of the places do, so you can kind of look it up and get a feel for what is actually going on. So that's Route 1. That's the way I go. Now let's go to the other route here, which is from Brookville. Now this is a little bit further north. For me, it's 60 miles longer. This is how we came home the last time, not by choice, by weather. When we came back from Sturgis last year, there were some pretty severe storms that we were kind of in between. They had come through the Sturgis area, like down south of Sturgis and then across the Midwest. And we chased them the whole way across. So 2 of the days coming back were playing dodge them and finding restaurants to hide out at or someplace to try to stay out of the rain. But by the time we got close to home, it was a mess. Tons of heavy rain on 422. By moving a little bit further north, we avoided a lot of it. Avoided all the road construction out by Butler that we had ran into on the way out. But it ended up, when we came back from Brookville down through Punxsutawney, which is right here on the map, we ran into some flooded roads anyway. If anybody was ever wondering, maximum fording depth for Harley-Davidson through water is about 2.5 foot. It did suck a little bit of water in cleaner and shut it off, to which my response was, gee, that's unfortunate. Actually, it is what I said. You have to ask my wife when she's here, but her reaction to going through the water was not nearly that calm. But needless to say, we made it back. But if you're leaving from further north and you come from Brookville, you can go across 80 out to Akron and down. Or if you really feel like you can pick up, let me zoom this in so you can see as I was talking about this, you could drop down 79 and pick up 422 and follow the other route. Last one, so I can really see what I'm talking about here. But you come straight down 79, 422 and over. If you're further north than that, I mean, it would be up to you what you want to do. If you're coming from, say, Erie, Edinburgh, or even like Western New York, it may make sense for you to run out across this way, across 90. But if you wanted to miss the traffic, you could still drop down towards Akron, which I try to miss that just because, again, of the roads, and then pick up this route that we take to just miss the cities. So without getting too long-winded with this, I might break this into 2 videos, 3 videos, depends how much I yap on the second one here, but we'll pick up day 2 afterwards. And that's actually the heart of this, to show you how I get nowhere near Chicago or any other big cities, with the exception of really Peoria. So with that, I'm going to end the video here. So that's day 1 of the route out. I realize getting a little long-winded here, so we're going to break this into at least 2 videos. We'll see how much I yap in the second one here, so maybe 3. But do me a favor, hit the subscribe and like button. Lets me know what I'm doing here, if I'm doing good, not doing good. If you guys like this kind of content, let me know. Keep making it. Hopefully we can build something with this channel, and hopefully you find this video a little bit informational and helpful. Peace out. Talk to you all later.